Hi, Allie. I'm Ross. I saw your problem and I hoped I could help with it. So I'm going to go through, starting just with the first one. The first part is pretty simple here. We're taking the survey and we're trying to figure out what percentage of people responded that they were satisfied. So in a problem like this, it's pretty easy. We take, like any percentage, the part over the whole. So in this case, 472 is the part of the respondents that responded that they were satisfied over the whole or the total of 500. So that'll give us a decimal, which in this case will be 0.944. And then to get the percentage, remember you multiply that by 100, which will give us 94.4%. So a little over 94% of people who were surveyed said that they were satisfied. So good for this company. The rest of this, though, is more complicated, and it relies more heavily on some statistics knowledge. So you're going to need two equations, both of which I have down here. So the first one is the margin of error, which we're looking for in number 2. So this is just a statistics formula that is helpful just to have memorized. It involves 3 variables, z, p, and n. Starting with that last one, n, easiest one, it's just the number of people who were surveyed in the total sample. So that's going to be 500. The P, luckily we already calculated, that's going to be this population sample, or sample population. So that's the 0.944. And then the Z is a number called the Z-score or the Z value, which we'll come back to here in a second. So going ahead and plugging those in, though, for our margin of error, please excuse my handwriting. So margin of error will come back to Z, but for the square root, I'm going to put our P, which is 0.944, times 1 minus that 0.944. And then all of that divided by 500, and that's still inside the square root. So the only thing missing is the Z. And this can be just a little tricky because it depends on how confident you want to be. This relates back to the idea of a normal distribution where one standard deviation covers about 68% of all respondents. 2 standard deviations covers about 95%, etc. And so if we want to be within 2 standard deviations, that'll get us about 95% of respondents, so we can have about 95% confidence. This number, though, is not going to be 2. It's actually going to be 1.96. And that's because 2 standard deviations isn't actually exactly 95%. It's closer to about 1.96 to get that 95. So anytime you're doing a problem where you want 95% confidence, and oftentimes in a problem like this, that's the default, that Z is automatically going to be 1.96. So doing all that math, just doing that arithmetic, you'll get that your margin of error here is about 0.02. So very small, 0.02. But keep in mind that that translates, if we're talking percentages, that's about 2%. So that's your answer here for number 2. Your margin of error is about 2%. And that means that even though you had 94% of people respond positively, you're not entirely sure that that will apply to everyone, right? 94% of everyone will say that they responded positively if you asked them. So you want to have a little bit of wiggle room, 2% up, 2% down. And so to find that, number 3, finding this range, you're going to find what's called the confidence interval, the CI. So you're going to take the sample proportion you got, that percentage, that's our 94.4, and you are going to, plus or minus, you're going to add and subtract separately the margin of error you found. So that's this 0.02, or excuse me, since we're talking percentages now, that's just going to be 2%. Okay, so again, in this case, since we're asked for percentage, we're moving back to those instead of the decimals. And so what that means, when we add our 2, we're going to get 96.4%. When we subtract, we get 92.4%. And this is our interval, right? This is our range of percentages of customers who are likely to be satisfied. And the reason, again, that we came up with this is we can't say for sure, based on this one sample, 94% of people will respond positively every single time. But now coming back to number 4 here, what we can say is with 95% confidence, again, that's where this 1.96 came in, with 95% of confidence between 92.4% and 96.4% of all customers would respond that they are satisfied with the company's services. So I hope all that helped. A lot of stuff going on there, but all very related. Please let me know, ask an additional question, or put a comment if there's anything else I can help you with, and I'll see you next time.